Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome once again to the Global Business Insight podcast. And today I'm so excited to be kicking off our 2025 series with a very special topic. We will be talking all about passion and purpose of this year, mentoring, leadership, but most importantly, personal development and your journey to be the most successful you of 2025. And for this discussion, we have a very dear friend joining us today, all the way from Arizona. Ross, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for taking time. I know it's just 7:30 a.m. for you, but maybe we can just start by you briefly introducing yourself to our listeners today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited. You didn't tell me this was your kickoff to 2025, so little off guard there. I'm glad I'm the first one in 2025. But yeah, so Ross Prejean, I have a background in industrial engineering. Been doing it for the past 11 years. It has been my journey. I've just climbed the ladder in industrial engineering. I've started at the bottom, and now I'm a director. And so it's been a journey. It's been a lot of learnings, and I'm excited to share that with the team and all your listeners here. So
Fantastic. Well, let's just kick off with our first question. Ross, maybe you could share a moment when you realized your passion and how it shaped the purpose in life.
yeah. So when I started to think about my passion and purpose here, passion was very easy for me to answer. And so I've always enjoyed helping people, even at a young age. I think it kind of started when I was very young. I'm the oldest of all of my cousins, and so as they were born, I became the one who got to watch all of them. And so I was an overseer. I helped the family. Even growing through college, I knew I wanted to help people. I wasn't a big person about blood, so I didn't want to be a doctor. And so that's where I kind of got into the field of industrial engineering. I liked math, or I should say I was good at math. And so I'm like, cool, I can help people do some math. And so that's how I kind of got into industrial engineering. And really where I started to see my passion start to grow is as I was starting my career, the faces that I was working with and the people that I got to impact day in, day out, it was throughout our whole organization. It wasn't just a few people, and that really just sparked a lot in me to realize I can have a big impact to a lot of different people and be a listening or ear for them, and help solve what problems they had to make their job easier. And I've enjoyed that ever since. As far as passion or purpose, I should say, um, purpose was hard for me to kind of combine my passion and purpose. I've been very one big about family. I tell my team family comes first. And so, I don't necessarily view my passion of work as my purpose in life. My purpose in life, I view it as my outside, my family. How am I a good husband? How am I a good dad? How am I a good friend? And family means a lot to different people. I have coworkers who their family is great friends. And to me, those are the people that always will bring you up and be around you. A job is a job, and you can be passionate about your job, but I don't necessarily always relate it to what my purpose in life is. And so I try to relay that to my team of guys, like family will always be first. You can have another job, but that that you can't replace. And so I view my purpose as how can I impact the people that I work with to make sure that they're spending time with their family as well as I get to spend time with my family, and be a good dad, be a great husband to my wife. Those are the things that I view as my purpose in life.
Okay, brilliant answer. I think that really underlines the why behind why you do things, what really drives you, and I think that's so important to have that as a kind of your North Star, if you like, of where you're going. And that is beyond any role you do because it's those things that really drive you on. I guess in my experience, once you've got that path aligned, you then have to show up. So it brings us on nicely to the next question about presence. This question is about presence at work. So why do you believe being present in the workplace is so crucial, especially if you're in that leadership role? Why have you got to show up but actually be present for your colleagues and your employees?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So I know we're going to get into a little bit about mentorship later, and I'm a mentor on a couple different peers of mine and some people underneath me that are looking to develop. And one of them, kind of a month or two ago, asked me, "How are you just so present? Like, how do when you walk into a room, do people just be like, Ross is here?" And I said, I had to think about it for a minute, and I think what I elaborated to that individual was listening. Earlier in my career, I did not know everything. Right? You're not expected to know everything. You haven't experienced everything. You have a lot to learn. And what I view it as is if you can listen, you're going to be able to take away ideas, and also your team or the people that are in whatever group setting you are in are going to feel valued because when they speak, you're engaged. You are listening to what it is. And I think that's a huge part about being present, is being able to have a team or a group that feels when you're in the meeting or you're in a group setting that you're actually paying attention to them. And I've always told my team is we're not always going to have the greatest ideas, but if you listen, someone might make a comment, someone might make a statement that you're like, hold on, that's not an actually bad idea. Like, let's run with that. How do we continue that conversation? And that's all what presence means to me. And I think it helps with building those relationships down the road. Because once you build that presence, now people want you in those meetings. They want to be engaged with you. They want to be partnering with you, and you get to continue to develop and to build that presence in essence, to show why you are here and what you are capable of doing within your role.
Oh, I love that answer, especially describing the why. But that actually gets me thinking, Ross, we are all operating nowadays in this virtual hybrid professional environment. And in your opinion, let's go to the second part, the how. So
Yeah,
how can someone then ultimately cultivate presence in that fast-paced
yeah.
environment?
No, it's a great question. And I find it easier now in this fast-paced virtual world. And maybe because, I started my career working in a distribution center, and, I'm not aging myself by any means, but Teams wasn't really a thing. When I first started my career, like it wasn't really until COVID that you had this virtual connection that was widely used by everyone. And so it was very hard to connect with people not in your silo. And so growing up, starting my career in a distribution warehouse, I only was able to connect with the people that was there. Ever since COVID, and having these Teams connections, it's very easy for me to call someone like we're doing right now, having a call with someone on the East Coast, having a call with someone in California, just reaching out to them on Teams, building that connection, showing you care, showing that you want to listen to them. That's what presence is and how you can cultivate those things in this virtual environment. A 15-minute conversation goes a long way sometimes, because it makes people feel supported. And especially in my realm of expertise in engineering, we are not a direct role, meaning what we do is all support. We're here to help give guidance. We're here to help support the operation, support the business, provide insights, provide analytics, and recommend. And so we're not making that final decision a lot of times. We help persuade that final decision through data and through our expertise and what we observe. So building those quick relationships and having people understand your thought process, getting connections, that's what will cultivate that presence and being able to, I think, push your career in the right direction, if you're wanting to.
I think where you talk about collaboration, there is it is such a key thing now. We're so connected that you can have that opportunity to collaborate with more people, and particularly in your field, you'll learn by those around you, speaking to people, asking questions, making mistakes, working out what went wrong, that trial and error process. And when you get to the sort of role that you're in now, I guess you start to mentor people. And we spoke about mentoring, touched on it earlier. That kind of starts by asking for help. Could you think of a time, firstly, when you hesitated to maybe ask for help? And maybe if you did get that guidance, how that changed your path?
Yeah, I'm smiling because I was thinking about this question, and I laughed when I first read it. And the reason why I laughed was because, and I'm gonna drop her name, just her first name, but when I first started my career, I had a leader. Her name was Carrie, and obviously, when you're first starting, you have lots of questions, and she really challenged me when it came to if I needed help, come to her prepared. And so it forced me a lot to understand what am I really asking for? And so I think there's a difference between asking for help and seeking guidance. And what I mean by that is I'm all about helping my team and making sure that they understand the work that we need to go get done. What Carrie helped me understand was that I better come to her if I'm ever stuck with here's what I have done. I don't want to just come to her with just, hey, I have this problem. Can you solve it for me? No, it's, hey, here's where I'm at. Here's what I've tried. Here's my path of what I'm thinking through. Where did I make a mistake? Can you re-guide me? Can you redirect me and not get frustrated? Because a part of learning is going through those things. No one knows. I have a little girl. She's 6 years old, and I just look at her and think, man, that's how I was when I first started my career. All these questions she has, but why? But why? But why? And I'm just like, sometimes I'm like, come on, that is the end of the why. And she's like, keeps asking the why. So maybe I have a future engineer on my hands. But I think that really distinguishes the difference between asking for help in your career of making sure if you're going to ask for help, you come prepared with what have you already looked at. And at that point, then it's truly you're asking for help versus, hey, it can be viewed as I haven't done my research. I haven't done what I need to on my side to then ask for help. Seeking guidance. I've never, to me, I think I've had good mentors in my own career that have helped me feel comfortable seeking guidance. And I think that's what it's about. I think if you surround yourself with good leaders, and as you probably both know and interview and doing podcasts with multiple leaders, is that good leaders, they want to help you develop. And so when it comes to your actual development, ask the questions. I tell anyone I mentor is that I probably have been through your scenario in some shape or form. And you're not the first one to go through it. And I learned that when I first started becoming a leader of, I bet you someone else has gone through this experience. Let me share what I'm going through with another leader and see how did they handle similar situations. And that helped me a lot from a guidance perspective of how can I continue to, I think, develop, how can I change the path on which I am, or even understand maybe I'm doing the best I can. Because I think sometimes as leaders, you can be lost and you don't know, are you doing the right thing? And that support of your own peers, your other leaders, and saying, no, I'm going through the same thing, just gives you reassurance you're not alone and you're working through it.
Ross, what a great answer, and I really loved the second part of your answer, especially the whole angle on how you approach mentoring, and this really shows what a great leader you are, the servant leader, helping others and helping others to grow to be the best version of themselves, right? And that is very much the definition. Maybe we can dig a little bit deeper on the whole topic of leadership now. And I'd love to learn more about your vision on leadership? And what's one leadership lesson that you've learned that transformed the way you lead? And I'm
Yeah.
so curious to listen to that answer.
Yeah. Um, so, this is probably a more, I would say, recent experience in my career. But change is inevitable. What I had to go through in the past years is multiple leaders kind of turning in the organization in short periods of times, working through that, and being in middle management, not upper management, and having to still support the team as upper management is changing to say, guys, we still have a job to do. And there's a lot of uncertainty at times when those types of changes happen, especially after large periods of stability in leadership, right? People get comfortable, and then all of a sudden these changes start happening, and it brings worry. And I think this is one that has resonated with me very strongly recently of just, I have to be that rock for the team to be able to say, guys, we still have a job to do. Yes, this is not a fun time, a fun experience. But if I start to sway to also be negative, or if I also start to sway to jump on the, well, this isn't a great experience, or whatever that feeling at the time can be, it can snowball real quickly for the team. And then you have a team that just isn't engaged, a team that doesn't excited about coming to work, a team that doesn't want to do anything because they're uncertain of what's going on. So being that stable rock for your team through change is one thing that, I am working through, and learning that without my leadership, without me reassuring them day in, day out that we are doing great work, and showing them and highlighting the work that we're doing so it doesn't go unnoticed. Because I think at times when you get so much change going on, you get such bad tunnel vision that you can get lost into what everything you're doing to support the business. And so just helping them take a step back and be like, guys, we're doing great, and being successful. Well, take a breath. We're going to get through this. And it's just a part of, your career and what you're going to experience.
Just following on from that, something I've been thinking while I was listening to you speaking there was about something I've experienced in leadership is I think they refer to it as commander's intent. When sometimes you've given a directive or an order and you're not necessarily agreeing with all of the parts of that. So you have to use your experience, discretion to make the right decision. And it may not be that you go with what you're told by the senior team exactly. You might take those orders and do the best part of that, the bits that you think is going to be beneficial. Um, how do you balance that between making those fast, quick, right decisions, or the decisions in time, at the same time as getting that feedback and learning? Because sometimes you may be given a directive from on top, you turn around to your team, say we're doing this, and your team go, that's just not going to work.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that?
Yeah. So I had another great leader. I'm gonna do another name drop here. His name was Scott. And I took away a very, very key piece from him as his leadership, and he called it 3 V's. And he probably got it from someone else, but I love this, and I've used this for my team. And those 3 V's are voice. Everyone on the team has a voice. Everyone can speak up. Everyone can give their opinion. We're then going to vote, guys. As a team, let's vote on what do we think is the best direction. How do we best solve the problem, the ask, the task, and that way the team feels like they are all involved and getting engaged. And then at the end of the day, as a leader, I'm still responsible for the decision of the team. So I have that ability to veto those votes, and make that final decision if I need to. Ideally, I don't want to veto. I want us to come to an alignment and get together as a vote of that decision being, here's the direction. But I try to live by those 3 V's, and getting to where the team feels overall that they are included in the decision and the direction of what we're trying to do to support. And at the end of the day, I also get vetoed. I have leadership above me that can tell me, nope, this is what we need to do. And that's a part of just communicating, guys, like this is what's needed for the business, and doing your best, right? I mean, sometimes that as you learn through your career is, you know, everyone has a boss and everyone has initiatives that they need to get accomplished. And at the end of the day, it's how you communicate those initiatives that I think go a long way. But when I can, I try to use those three V's as much as possible, making sure the team feels like they are heard, making sure team feels like they have a option in the decision, to where it's not just something getting pushed to them, but something that they're also a part of the decision on how we're going to approach problems.
Wow. Now I'm going to try and remember these three V's in my leadership. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, Ross, so we started off this podcast talking about finding your passion and purpose. And, to close the loop of this conversation, I would love to talk about personal development and your journey, and this to serve as an inspiration for our listeners today, just to gear up for this year.
Yeah.
Maybe you could talk a little bit about some of the biggest challenges that you've actually encountered and faced in your journey, and just how you overcame them.
Yeah. So I will say this is going to be very focused probably to an industrial engineer's challenges that they're going to face, since that's where I've been my entire career, is in the industrial engineering role. When I first started my career, and I kind of hint on it a little bit earlier, we're a support team. And I didn't really quite get that. I was, under the impression and that, I'm here to help provide a recommendation, and then the team was going to go execute that recommendation. And so I had to learn early on that that's not how it works. That there is a process that goes through of, hey, yes, same with that vote and veto. I'm not the direct leader who has to make that decision. I'm here to help provide guidance and provide my perspective. And so I struggled a little bit earlier on of, why are my ideas, why are my thought processes not coming to fruition? And then I realized my ability to just give input and asking for feedback through those experiences of, like, hey, can you tell me why we didn't go this direction? So that way next time I can know, what do I need to do differently, to where maybe my idea, my thought, my data is presented in a way that helps you make a better decision as a leader in the organization. And so to me, that communication between the people I'm supporting and my data was a huge undertaking, and it really helped me realize that the biggest piece as an industrial engineer you need to be able to relate is, there's a physical process that happens any job you do, and the data might tell you something differently, but how do you relate the two? Data and physical don't always align, and so when you can start to connect those dots, that's what I learned earlier in my career, and the challenges that I face is, once I started able to connect the dots of, here's what's physically happening at the associate or the process level with the data I'm representing, and being able to communicate that to leadership, made decisions a lot easier. It flowed so much smoother. And then I started to be able to grow my career of getting more exposure, getting more involved in different projects, because I was able to start bridging those connections, which then just elevated me and my knowledge and my expertise, to be able to grow personally. So
I think there's some great advice there, not just for the industrial engineering industry, but the wider business community as well. I mean, when we post this out, we'll certainly alert the industrial engineering community and make sure that they're all aware, so they can hear your words of wisdom there. Just on that, anyone that's going through a similar experience, because our hope is that those aspiring up and coming people in your industry will want to listen to this. They'll want to hear how you've done it, so they can hopefully follow your path. Any words of advice or encouragement you could share with us for those guys?
yeah, raise your hand. Earlier I raised my hand for everything. Anytime my leader asked, "Hey, who wants to take this on?" I think I was the first one to raise my hand, because I knew experience was going to be how I'm going to learn, and I wasn't afraid to fail. Whether that was being naive, maybe, but I wanted to learn because I knew that through failure, even failure, I was going to learn, oh, don't do that again. And I think until you take more and more on in your career and you understand the experiences you go through, that's the best way to take that development on, is just be the first one to raise your hand, because I think it shows a lot of things to leaders above you. And at the time, I was completely oblivious to any of that. Of, oh, this person's engaged, they care. I just wanted to learn. I wasn't even thinking about any of that. I just wanted to grab and I kind of use the cookie jar, and I wanted to put my hand in as many cookie jars as possible. I wanted every cookie that I could have and be able to be involved in every project that there was, just because I knew that one, I was going to learn from the leadership in that room, their experience, their knowledge, their thought processes, but then also I was going to gain my own development. So sign up, take on challenges, get in uncomfortable situations. Your leaders above you aren't going to let you fail if they're good leaders. They're going to support you, and they're going to help you get to the final product at the end of the day. And it helps you gain that experience. So don't feel like you're going to fail. You're going to have leaders that are going to be there to help catch you and make sure you don't fall. But you're going to also learn. And that's the key point, is just continue to learn in your career.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ross. It's been really, really wonderful hearing your words of advice, guidance, wisdom on how you've got to this stage in your career. I think that's fantastic for anyone looking to develop their career in the same way. There's some real, genuine pieces of wisdom there that I think we can all learn from. Charlotte, any final words from you before we let Ross go on his way?
Well, I have to say that the last answer, it truly resonated with me. Even while joining, picking a job, you and if you're unsure that you cover the whole job description, just agree to it anyways, and then you'll learn on the job. And that's what I cannot agree more with you, Ross. So thank you for the strong message in the end, and for your time, and to all the listeners for tuning in.
Yes, thank you
Thanks
for
again,
having
Ross.
me. It's been a great experience, and I'm glad you guys encouraged me to do this. This was I enjoyed it.